We are back into our big conversation this morning, and essentially calling it the state of the nation, because we've seen a lot happen around what the two sides, that is the Azimio coalition and the Kenya Kwanza government, in as regards how the bipartisan negotiations are concerned. And even the events that we're waking up to this morning of the government essentially saying that they are fighting the cost of living, or to bring it down essentially, is also an issue that the Azimio coalition is also pushing for in the bipartisan negotiations. But the question that we want to ask this morning is when indeed these bipartisan negotiations are ever going to begin, if they are ever going to begin, because again, we do have new information around the IEBC issue, because the two committees, that is the Azimio Coalition Committee and the Kenya Kwanza Committee, have been given 90 days to deliberate on the IEBC reconstitution issue and then table their recommendations in Parliament. So, that particular 7-day ultimatum that was given by the Azimio coalition, as much as we do know of it, is already done and dusted. A lot to get into this weekend. Both sides expressed their sentiments on exactly what the government and Kenyans should be focusing on right now. Let me introduce then to the conversation. This morning, I want to introduce Peter MUCHENDU, who's a governance expert. Peter, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Happy to have you around. We also have Cliff ABOKI around. Cliff, how are you doing, man?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Regardless of the draw. We are still at the top.
Yes, sir, we're still at the top.
So I'm fine. Regardless of the draw, I'm fine. The weekend couldn't get any better.
Listen, let me start like this. Guys, I have to remember, I mean, last season, Man City drew 2-2.
Exactly.
A penalty to the same team.
Exactly.
And they still went to win the
exactly. So you see, the history can repeat itself.
Arsenal being at the top, he equated to that story in the Bible where God took Moses at the top of the mountain and told him, "That's Canaan, but you ain't getting there."
That's the story of the Bible. VAR has refused.
It has completely refused. Anyway,
that's offside.
Gentlemen, away from top of the table issues, we have other issues at the top of the table. And I want to start like this, Cliff.
Yes.
Let's look at what the Kenya Kwanza government is pushing for.
Yeah.
And the two stories here that I want us to pick that are essentially going to be a pointer into the plan then for the Kenya Kwanza government to essentially say we are doing something in as regards the cost of living.
Yes.
And I want us to watch this story. And we read it yesterday when a tweet emerged from the State House spokesman.
Yes.
On exactly how the government had plans then to reduce the cost of living. Let's take a look, come talk about it, and then after that get into the entire conversation of another new period now that we have been thrown to 90 days for the bipartisan committee then to deliberate and start or table the deliberations in the National House. Let's look at this story. We're calling it Reduction in the Cost of Living. Let's take a look.
The cost of hunger in the country has been a subject of debate in the political arena and the general public. Different people decrying the high cost of hunger, which has been retailing for 200 shillings and above. A tweet by State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed on Monday gave the indication the prices had come down. Hussein tweeted, "Hunger prices have started going down just as President William Ruto had assured Kenyans over the weekend. Prices have dropped to 159 and 160 shillings, depending on the millers. When the president assumed office last year, a 2 kg packet was retailing at approximately 230. End of quote. However, a spot check by Lookuptv shows that in major stores across the country, the prices of this basic commodity remains the same, ranging from 194 to 250, depending on the millers and the brand of the maize flour. The common brands of unga that Kenyans are used to still maintain a high price from when the president took power. And newer brands like the one pictured by the State House spokesperson seem to have a reduced price. A spot check revealed that 2 kgs of Pembe maize flour retails at 207. Jogo maize flour retails at 212. Ndovu maize flour retailing at 210. Soko retailing at 207. Raha maize flour retailing at 256. Ajab maize flour retailing at 199. Dollar maize flour retails at 220, with Umi maize flour retailing at 194. The supposed new prices being thrown around by government officials are just but a wish list of what is on the ground. For example, the 2 kg of Umi flour, which is said to be retailing at 155 and 159 depending on the stores, is currently retailing at 194 in major stores in Nairobi. Another brand that was published is the Ajab maize flour, which is said to be retailing at 164, and it's currently retailing at 199 at Quickmart stores and 200 at the Carrefour. However, there is still hope for Kenyans after President William Ruto promised to have the prices reduced this week. This comes after a ship carrying 48,000 tons of white maize docking at the port of Mombasa over the weekend and reviving the hopes of Kenyans to have the cost of maize flour come down. The retailers, however, say the reduced prices will not be immediately and could take some weeks, as most of them still have maize flour in store. With bipartisan talks yet to start, Azimio Coalition are adamant to only start a conversation after the government promises to reduce the prices to 100 shillings. Brian Amwai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Right. Cliff.
Yes. When I was here last time, I said things are working and things are going to work for the better of this country. The only thing we need to do is give this government or this new government time. Let us see how they're going to steer the country. But the moment we rush this baby and we are trying to feed this baby with food that is not baby's food, then we are saying that we are being really untruthful with ourselves and being very dishonest to Mwananchi. That being said, you are seeing what I was talking about. Regardless of the price or the cost of unga or the basic commodities going down with a shilling, even if it goes down with a shilling, it is better, you get, than it was before. Is it? If the price of unga goes down by a shilling, for instance, and it did go down, not with a shilling, but by very many shillings, it is better than it was before. When whoever that is telling you to demonstrate then was in a government that the price of unga then was not as is now. That is a fact. It is a fact, right? So what we are saying is that there is improvement, and there is going to be improvement. Not because of the noises around, but because there's a plan. The government has a plan. We haven't let them do their work. We haven't let them set their own plan in place. We want to destabilize it before it even starts. All right?
Cliff.
Yes.
Peter, is Cliff responding to a completely different question? Because the story is that despite what the government or the State House spokesperson tweeted yesterday about the prices of unga in supermarkets, the media rushed out.
But you know, I find it very outrageous that the president said about it over the weekend.
Yes.
I think he said it in Narok and he said it in Kiambu at Kashie while commissioning on a road. And he said from next week. I thank the president because he was very explicit. He did not say from Monday. He said from next week.
Next week.
You know, let me tell you, it is absurd for one to think that the supermarket bought that unga at that cost last week.
Exactly.
And you expect them to clean the shelves with the current cost. Obviously, if there was some supplies within the stores, they would have to be cleared with the same price they were bought with. Yeah. So I would expect to discuss that particular report on a Friday when the supermarkets have cleaned
Yes.
the stores and started receiving the unga that is costing 159. If you look at the spot check of the photos that were going online, especially on Twitter, those are supermarkets that started receiving unga yesterday. You do not expect a supermarket as big as some that you know, I don't want to mention, they would probably uptake 2-3 lorries of unga at a go. How do you expect them to take that unga at 185 and tomorrow sell it at 159? So basically, let us allow the supermarkets and the stores to pick the new unga. But it's also important to note that how did we get here? To where we are talking about the cost of living. It is true, the weather pattern has not been good probably in the last 3.5 years of the defunct Jubilee government.
Yes.
But I'll tell you why we will keep blaming that Jubilee government of Uhuru and his cahoot Raila Odinga is naturally how the Cereals Board would work. If there is some weather crisis and we do not grow enough cereals, it is the work of the NCPB to start buying maize from outside and stock their silos.
Yes.
Why do they do? So that when there is a shortage of maize, they would sell that maize in a constant price to millers, and millers will not have to quote high prices. But we had 3 years of a bad weather pattern and 3 years that NCPB could not store anything in their stores. So by the time we are realizing that the cost is high, the NCPB did not have cereals to sell to millers. So millers have to go to South Africa, have to go to Mozambique and other places to import. And when you import and you come and you pay import duty, then you know our market is a capitalist market. It is not regulated. So if I bought my maize at 120, at 4,000-5,000 per bag from Maputo in Mozambique, you come, you do import tax and VAT, then I am going to put my prices very high so that I recover what I have used and I make something out of it.
Pretty much.
So this is pretty much the making of the former immediate government has gotten us to where we are.
Without saying no to what Cliff and Peter you're saying, let's ask this question. I mean, this has been an emotive vision. You guys are saying it right. The president did say that as from next week, you're going to see a reduction in the price of Vunga. Fine. We as the media then would look out for any new communication, because that next week is this week. It's fine, Peter, what you're saying. You didn't say Monday, but he said this week. So all of a sudden now, what we have to wait is for what looks like official communication from the government. Cliff.
Yes.
Guess where it came from? It came from the State House spokesperson who's saying, look here, we are beyond, or we are moved away from expensive unga in the country. And let me read for you a tweet here by Cheriot as well, yesterday as well, who's been quite vocal about what the Kenya Kwanza government is trying to do. This is what he said. Unga prices went on and said, handshake government 2020-2022, Uhuru Raila, 280 shillings per 2 kg. Then now he's saying, Ruto's government, 150 shillings per 2 kg. Then he says, eventually, the cost of living will come down and affordable to all Kenyans.
Thank you.
Cliff, hold on then. This is my question then.
Well put.
Is that not official enough for us to go out and ask the question, where is it? But we haven't seen it, Peter.
But as he comes in,
yes.
You must interrogate that statement from a literature point of perspective.
Yes.
The statement is what you call a past present continuous tense.
Fine.
So listen. He says you will continue to see. So this is not an immediate. It's not an immediate process where the day break and the right comes. It is a gradual process. It is a process that slowly graduates into full.
But you will see.
Cliff, I want to jump in because gentlemen, I want to point you out to a statement again that we've made in that story, and it has been synonymous, again, Cliff, in the media reports that we carried out yesterday. If you want to subsidize all the prices in the country, you do know where the connection point is. It's the millers in this country that haven't come out to say that indeed we have received cheap maize, and this is exactly what we're not. They haven't said it.
You see, there's something that the media, I being a professional in that, it's something that the media is really getting wrong. And because I've said it before here, the media has tried to really smear Ruto and co. Okay? Agree or disagree, the cost of living is coming down. Let us get that straight.
Cliff, what are the pointers?
The moment you start coming or going to supermarkets, as my friend has said, where they have a lot of stock and they want to clear it, and that is where you're covering. That's where your coverage is. You will not find that price going down.
Yes, but I pointed you out to the
what
millers
I'm saying is this,
as well, Cliff.
Forget about the millers. The millers don't need to come out and start telling you that we have received, we have received. All you need to do is see the results. They don't need to come out. Do they?
Yes, they have to.
No, they don't have. Have they been coming out ever?
Hold on.
When have they ever come out?
Yes, they have.
No, here's the thing.
Cliff. Yes.
When have they ever come out and said that, you know, we've received unga that is so cheap, now we want to sell it at this price? No, they've never done that. They don't do that. But the media wants to sell that agenda, push them to come out and say, we have not received the maize that is cheaper.
Even when they...
We can't do that. We can't keep pushing that agenda.
All these tweets that came out from the state house spokesperson, look at Cheriot's tweet. It's got Ajab in it. It's got Omi in it.
Yes.
There's some millers behind these products here.
Yes.
So essentially, we're going to talk about maize. We're going to talk about the millers.
What you need to understand, those millers that you people are expecting to come out and speak are the same millers we have paid 4 billion shillings without seeing the result of that money. You remember the only time they come out is to say we were not paid a balance of 1.something billion. Yes. But did we really see that unga that they were actually being paid for in our supermarket?
Did we?
So I will not care if the media, the millers come out and say it. The most important thing is that in the supermarkets,
what are we having?
What do we have? Because I think the media, as he has said, is that he has there is a certain narrative that you want to push, that you want to insist, that you do not want to believe. I've seen, I will not mention a certain supermarket I've seen in your report, but it is a high-end supermarket in a high-end, it is a high-end supermarket in a high-end Parashio place, where people don't have a problem with purchasing unga at 200. Why wouldn't you people go to Limuru, where I come from, or go to Githunguri, where the real people who are being hit by the cost of living are enjoying it? And I'll tell you, the other day we were buying a cabbage at 100 shillings. Let me tell you the beauty about the rains. When the rains come, there is the indigenous greens, managu and terere in our native language. People will now, if you buy 159 shillings unga, you will save up to 70 shillings. You will save 100 shillings, you'd have bought a cabbage, and you will eat the indigenous greens with the ugari, and that 200 shillings that is saved goes to school or a medical care or something. But the media is choosing to pray to the gallery, to not actually interrogate the actual fact that the government is really trying. The government is doing something.
But, which is okay, Cliff, and I do agree with you. At what point do we as the media start to investigate what the government is doing? It's official statements that are coming from State House. So that's the voice of the president. So could have we asked for better information? Because are we then talking about the failure to fully communicate what the plan has been? Now listen, Cliff, I'm talking about this because last week, that's when the president said, as from next week, you're going to see this and this happening. Good. And then we see the State House spokesperson with a tweet saying, look here, it's now as official as it can get. Is it failure to fully communicate what the plan is, and when we are bound to see these results everywhere? Because Kenyans just don't stay in Limuru. Kenyans, yes, even the Kenyans who are buying it in this palatial supermarkets that we're talking about here, they are also Kenyans. You can't tell me that they do not care about the cost of living, Clay.
You know the argument that you're bringing about is the argument that I'm telling you.
Yes.
The media is trying to push. The cost of these products in different places is going to change gradually, courtesy of this is a business that has stock that needs to be cleared, as my friend said. Okay? So it may not have been bought last week when the president was speaking. It is going to go down if they decide to go get them the Ajab, the whatever product or brands that we're talking about. They will. But what you should understand is simple.
Yes.
The brand that you use and the brand I may use may differ. All right?
Yes.
When you go to high-end areas and when you go to low-end areas,
yes,
the products that are selling in those places may vary. It may be unga, but what brand? All right?
Yes.
Please let us have these factors that affect, these factors that happen in the business sense.
Yes.
Okay? So the moment the media goes and covers where the prices of unga in the shelves or on the shelves have not gone down or are not changing, and then expect to sell that agenda to the people, then you're misleading the people.
Because on the question somebody would ask you again, Peter.
When, let me finish this point.
Yes.
When Hussein Mohammed wrote that or tweeted that, it is not that he tweeted that without having proper advice. He knows what he was tweeting. And he believes that this has gone out. The discussions have been done. And the prices have to go down. But if your shop has not cleared its stock, it can't get in the stock that is supposed to be cheaper. That is a fact. So,
Peter, even as we look at this next story that we went yesterday, even on what the Kenya Kwanza government has been doing, by the way, and I want you to pay close attention to what both sides of the divide were talking about, because I've got this question then who are we to say that the government has a plan when the people supposed to communicate that plan haven't given us the plan? Because for us, we ask these questions. I want us to look at this particular story that we went on our newsroom right here yesterday, and it happened this weekend. We're calling it the Ruto-Raila sides clash, and they were essentially talking about the cost of living. I want us to look at this story, that is the Ruto-Raila sides clash, because it informs the conversation that we're having here. You will see exactly what the raw emotions from both ends were. Then deduce again the question, Peter, why can't we have the plan then? Let's take a look.
Once again, Azimio One Kenya and Kenya Kwanza leaders have clashed over the return of the nationwide protests by the opposition in case bipartisan talks failed to yield fruit. Amina Mnyazi, a member of the bipartisan committee, who is also a member of parliament for Malindi, has criticized Kenya Kwanza administration for refusing to accept the opposition demands.
Ambayo haina upinzani si serikali. Kwa hivyo sisi ambao ni wabunge wa upinzani, mtuache tufanye kazi yetu. Pale mnapokosea tuwe tuko na mdomo ya kuweza kuambia hapa mmekosea na hapa tutaki viwe hivyo. Tumeelewana hivyo? Dakika hii mmetuletea chakula, tunashukuru, lakini bei ya maisha bado iko juu. Bei ya maisha iko wapi? Mmeleta chakula hapa, watatumia chakula leo, lakini baada ya siku 2-3 watakuwa watu wangu wa Malindi hawana kitu chakula.
According to Mnyazi, political leaders should refrain from taking stances that are too firm, maintaining that national peace and convening a summit to discuss problems are more critical to the nation.
Lazima tuseme ukweli. Aliyepandisha unga na maisha kuwa magumu ni Raila na Uhuru Kenyatta. Na hao leo Mheshimiwa Ruto miezi 7 ndani ya serikali, kutoka unga 240 leo unga umeshuka umefika 180.
Wewe Amina umepewa nafasi kubwa na chama
pale kutoka kwa serikali, akaambia President wetu William Ruto kuwa kweli kuna kiangazi, kweli maisha imepanda juu. Kama tunangoja chakula ikuje, tunangoja ile imepaliliwa ifike, lakini ufanye nini? Angalia watu wetu, uwaletee chakula, si hivyo?
Innocent Ogaro, Lookuptv.
That indeed, Cliff, the guys from both sides saying, well, we do understand whatever it is that you've done. But essentially, what we need is for you to come forthright and say, it is going to be at this particular price for the foreseeable future, and this is the plan that we put in place.
Let me tell you from the onslaught.
Yes.
We learn a capitalist economy in this republic. We do not set prices other than the normal regulation of ERC, of oil products.
Yes.
The rest of the products that are sold in this country, or electricity, that is, the tariffs are governed. The rest of it is a capitalist economy, that people will set up the prices as much as there is what you call the consumer protection laws, that then will not allow the manufacturers or the middleman to exploit the customer. The government of William Ruto is not giving subsidy and all those things, so that, the reason why you would see President Uhuru at State House franked by some of the notorious manufacturers we know, saying that the cost of unga will be at 100 shillings, it is because he wanted to give them some free money somewhere so that they can get paid for unga they never produced and brought to our shelves. So you see, what William Ruto is doing is avail maize at a certain price. Now, he can dictate, because it is the government that is importing maize on behalf of the manufacturer. So if I bring you your raw material at this price, it is obviously you cannot go beyond a certain price. Now, you people, you want the Honorable William Ruto to call the millers and give them in State House and subsidy and say this is going to be. I mean, we have shifted from that kind of a government. That can I tell you? And that is why...
I want us to take a tiny breather. Again, I've just been informed that we have to take a tiny breather. I want you to pick your sentiments once we come from this particular break. Remember, we are looking at the current affairs in the country, but first on those this morning is on the cost of living, and we are tracking on exactly what the government's plan is around this particular area, reacting to that tweet from State House yesterday that indeed the price of unga has come down. What are you buying it this morning? Tell us where you are, how much you're buying it, so we can put that conversation into proper context once we come back right here on Lookuptv, the hashtag Morning Drift.
Sensei Institute of Technology is the home to the best practical courses, giving you a hands-on experience to handle the world. A place to build your skill and see the world in a different perspective.